everyone, welcome to CAGET, and today we're talking about Dungeons & Dragons 6th edition ideas again, if you can't really tell by the title of the video. And so, this is kind of like part of a series of 60 ideas I've had. Well, I started it back in the previous season on my channel with like 4 videos. The first one's like a, introduction, more accurately, like that was supposed to be the original video. But then I decided to go into the 3 major parts of that video. And now I'm continually expanding off of that idea. The last video is also a continuation of the expansion. But yeah. And in this video, just a reminder, I'll also be talking about just say things that are done tabletop role playing game related. And if you can look at the little thumbnail and stuff, this isn't just gonna be about D&D 5th edition, because it's D&D 6th edition is what I'm talking about, talking about other tabletop role playing game series as well being added in. So yeah, first things first is explaining transferring characters up from old old system memes. That basically I'm saying that in the title that basically I want to see rules for transferring up characters not just from previous editions of the game. And, at least 5th edition needs to be done, but other editions as well, because by doing that you add tons of character options. So everything is merging systems. So I mean by that is completely different game systems so it can be merged together to make one better game. There's actual official rules for merging the systems together. So I want to give you an example of how a merge system could work. Most systems would just be transferred up, merging wouldn't be as common, but I'll use Pokemon as an example, even though Pokemon's tabletop role-playing game wouldn't probably ever happen, because Nintendo probably wouldn't make one. And to D&D, Nintendo kind of have a little bit of rivalry with Pokemon, because Pokemon has a card game which is rival to Magic the Gathering, which is the other product the cost make besides D&D. If that makes sense, which is why there's Magic the Gathering spin out books and not Pokemon books, And there's also, because of that, it probably would never happen, but, it would be kind of cool if it did, though. This is just an example. I mean, it's not, something that would probably happen if you're kind of paying attention, but yeah. So how would the first work is, the Pokemon game would have its own mechanics, like how moves would work. Probably the damage would be probably determined by the Pokemon's move type, And, if you understand Pokemon, you'll understand what I'm referring to, but yeah. But with D&D and so that side, it's, if we remember correctly, they're really different tech levels, so you probably set this into a more modern tech level of no or low magic. If we kind of combine systems, if we're using the tech and magic tier idea video that I made a while ago. Basically, when combining systems, probably be different types of ways you can train Pokemon, so that'll probably be a class in that game. Combining the two systems, you take a class from D&D and a class from the Pokemon game, they'll be both listed on your character sheet, you get them at the same time, XP levels as you normally would, you gain XP at the same time, and basically what the combining the two systems will do is allow you to fight alongside your Pokemon, if that makes sense, and that's how that would work. But yeah, so yeah. I mean, it's not basically because Pokemon system would have to be a Pokemon style game, but would play a tabletop role game. I think would be really cool. I mean, there's ones that already exist, if that makes sense. So, just look at those is kind of and say maybe you can add. It's hard to explain, but that's my first example. You can also have other systems and stuff too that could be merged in. Merging systems because they have to be so different from D&D. They'll have the merge. Because they'll add new elements to the game. Pokemon and D&D, they'll combine, they'll probably need a book that would have rules for merging them, which will include things like what each Pokemon damage type, equals to a D&D damage type. You get what I mean, right? But yeah, anyway. That is, and the other systems, stuff that's really weird, are much different from D&D, are things, our mechanic that D&D doesn't have, that's what the main focus is. That's Pokemon's a good example, but other things say, maybe you're doing a giant war game thing where your characters have some control over the effects of this war, you can fight in it as a character, but then you also have better mass war mechanics. That could be another example of something that could merge well. But and that's kind of the boring part of this video, and I'm done. Now let's go over to transferring characters up from older editions. I think this should be entirely its own book that releases along with the core rulebook. So D&D has 3 core rulebooks: Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual. That'll probably be the same for 6th edition, because it's been the same for every other edition, if that makes sense. And you can basically buy all 3 if you want to run the game. You only need Player's Handbook if you want to play the game. But it's a good idea to get all 3, because if you get any supplementaries and stuff like that, that's kind of how it works. But I would say release those 3 as a core, and then release 1 supplementary round with that, which is transferring up characters. I mean, there's just rules for transferring up a 5th edition character. Then you just probably put that in somewhere in the Dungeon Master's Guide, you know, the rules for doing that. But we're going to go big with this idea. Let's just say, which is discuss some about Paizo, which is a company that makes, you know, Starfinder, Pathfinder, and Pathfinder 2nd edition. And they started out as doing mods, so like modifying D&D for 3.5 edition, so it'll make sense to kind of, you know, combine the two products. It also because Starfinder has a really good campaign saying for explaining like a high-tech world could work like, magic world could work like, you know. Which is it's a really good example for explaining something else on the tech tier level instead of the default D&D level of tech, if that makes sense. But yeah, anyway, let's continue down this list. So let's just say about Paizo, that'll be our main example. Well, this book will probably have the rules for transferring over characters from, let's say, 5th edition, of course. You know, it'll be supplementary, so it wouldn't have to be used. It's the option for people when playing other role-playing game systems and want to transfer their characters up. It'll have rules for transferring up characters, well, you know, player characters, monsters, magic items, basically any little thing like that. Because monster would definitely need. Those magic items have to have rules for transferring up, items have to have rules, characters have to have rules, you know, because characters have items, spells have to have rules, you know what I mean, right? The whole shebang. Yeah, anyways. So this book will probably have rules for 5th edition in the front, because that'll be what most people are coming from. But then if we take a Paizo's example, we'll probably take Pathfinder 2nd edition from that, due to the fact that, you know, that's their newest game, and also Starfinder. Which Starfinder has rules transferring from Pathfinder, so probably Pathfinder will be there as well. And Pathfinder is a modification of 3.5 edition, so they've got the rules from 3.5, and another rules from 3rd edition. And then why don't we just throw in first Advanced D&D 2nd edition and 4th edition rules. So rules are transferred from, I guess this will probably release in the 6th edition, probably release on like the exact day of D&D's 50th anniversary, something like that. It would make sense, over the mega anniversary thing that's coming up, it would make sense to have all rules for transferring of every single D&D edition on top of the rules for transferring over the new, like, this possible new company that will have control over, you know. So that'll be kind of cool to see. Though, maybe Starfinder and Pathfinder 2nd edition, there might be rules for merging them instead of having them being separate games. Instead of having them just transfer up characters. I don't know exactly, but I think that'll be a cool thing to do. You know? So this massive supplementary, you know, there's rules for transferring up older characters. You know, from all previous editions, which will, you know, actually add all the options from those older editions. Though when you're transferring up a legacy character, there'll be special, like, on the character sheet you'll have to mark special things down. You know that it's like a legacy character instead of a normal character, and even mixes, like, maybe you take a class from, say, Starfinder, and she's erased from, I don't know, say, D&D 3.5 edition. You could do that, but you have to change the rules for transferring those mechanics separately. Which means you basically have every old book would work in this game. At 6th edition, though, it wouldn't all transfer perfectly. You know, so that's the reason why I have a whole supplementary for, like, each chapter's for a different game system, you know. At least supplementary that at least with the core, like, at the same time as the core rulebooks, so it'll have to be bought separately, you know, because it won't be a core rulebook, because, you know, groups decide not to allow transferring old characters up. But some groups might like it because they've been playing for a while, you know, and want to keep using their characters, you know. But other groups like think it could be like a power craze to, you know, use old character options that should be ridiculously overpowered and broken, you know, if that makes sense. So yeah. And now I'm gonna go back to merging systems a little bit because I wanted to kind of skip to that system for a little bit. But merging characters, you know, our systems would be kind of cool because you'd have like the merge mechanics from both systems. So this might be better options, and maybe in that transferring up system, there'll be also rules for merging the systems as well. You know, I don't know. But merging systems I think will be a cool thing to do with certain games, other ttrpgs, but in other situations, you know, having different, like, just transferring characters up might be easier to do, if that makes sense. And yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention was, like, possibly, like, I don't know, this will be part of the main idea of the video. I might go back to this in, like, some other video, but I just want to have it out there. It's, like, possibly, like, a D&D light release at this time, because there's some people that just don't understand how D&D works as a game, so it makes sense that there'll be, like, you know, maybe a light version of D&D. Like, it's super simple. It's a ttrpg, but it's on the easiest ends of things, so 6th edition can be a little bit more advanced. there'll be rules to transfer characters from this edition up to D&D 6th edition, possibly in their rulebook for this. It'll also be in the D&D transferring rulebook as well, like probably in the next 5th edition or something like that. I mean, we'll talk about D&D Light and maybe in a future video if I keep continuing this series, you know. I don't know, I might do a video just like random loose ideas and threads that I want to talk about, possibly, but yeah. This is the end of the video. Remember to like and subscribe to CAGET on YouTube, and peace. And yes, I haven't been doing my normal content for like the past 2 or 3 videos. We count like the Discord one being not normal content, but like, I just wanted to get these videos out there because I've been wanting to make these for a while, and yeah.